this is Sarah, the Stitch-In Mommy, and it's Wednesday, August 28, 2024. I'm here with a special video. This is going to be my 2024 WIP parade. WIP stands for Work in Progress. So I will show you everything that I have going, plus things I've finished since my last WIP parade, which was in September of 2023. I've been trying to do these in September the last few years because it's a better time of year for me than January, when most people do their project parades. So I'm doing it now because this week here at the end of August seemed a little bit freer than the first few weeks of September. So I will jump in. I'm going to start with things I've finished since my last WIP parade, and then I will start sharing things in categories. So I will probably have to film this in chunks because I have 101 projects. Actually, no, just kidding. 102. There's one that's not on my list. So I'll kind of start with that right away at the beginning. I updated my spreadsheet last night or yesterday. I have 102 active projects that are personal. So my Etsy designs, like my temperature piece, doesn't count. It's work stitching, so it doesn't make my list. I won't be showing that in this video, but I do work on those here and there, and I work on customer projects here and there, so those don't count towards this number. But I have 102 active projects. The 102nd one that I didn't have on my list was because it's a Cats and Hearts piece, which I'll show several finishes here in a minute, but that is an ongoing project. It's got 12 pieces to it. They're all standalone projects, so technically they're all a regular project. You buy the patterns individually, you stitch them individually. They're actually a decent size. They're like 101 stitches by 101 by 77. So they're not small necessarily. They're small for me, but most of what I stitch is enormous. So they kind of have a single placeholder, which I didn't even put in my list of projects because it's constantly changing. So I didn't even, anyways, but it's in there. So that's the 102nd one. And I don't want to be over 100. At this point I am. And I have plans for 4 more new starts, one for each month of the remaining months of the year. I probably will still continue to do those 4 that I have planned. Next year I won't plan 12. I'm going to plan just a small, no more than 6 probably. But I'll like New Year, New Start, Birthday Start, a couple thrown here and there. But most of the time, I'm going to trim that back, and I'll try to focus more on finishing as well. But I do have 8 more things on my hope to finish this year list. May or may not happen. But if I can finish 8 more things, at the end of the year, I'll have 97. So not too bad. The thing with the WIP parade as well, I don't necessarily remember what I worked on at the last quarter of 2023 because I plan for a calendar year, January to December, but since I film in the Septembers, it's kind of awkward. So what I will do, which I've done before, is I'll just put up a picture of before progress if I have it. If it's the same as last year, I'll just say no change, or if it's brand new, it should be brand new, and I should know that. But yeah, there'll be notes on the screen if there's been no progress, or there'll be a picture from the last WIP parade if there is progress since September of 2023. So without further ado, let's jump in. I will share my finishes. So in order, I finished Letter E Fairy by Nora Corbett, and I'll put a picture in because I don't have many of these. There's 5 of these 13 finishes that I do not have anymore because they were gifts. This one was for my niece, and I did a color conversion of browns and purples, and she loves it. So I'm very happy about that. Called for 32 count water lily linen and 2 for 2. Then I have another gift. I finished November 4th, 2023 was the Christmas Sweater Cat by Stitch with Coffee. You can find her on Instagram and Etsy, I think is where she sells her patterns. Oh, here's Smokey. And this was a cute little pattern I did for my mom. I made it up into an ornament for her, and I really liked how it turned out. I don't list my fabric. I think I did that on like a 28 count over 1, and I think there were meant to be beads and things, but I used étoile instead to give it some sparkle without using beads, because there's no way I could do even petite beads on 28 count over 1 or even if it was 25 over 1, that wouldn't have worked. So that turned out cute. And then my next one, oh, she's so sweet. I have my kitty here with me. Hi, Smokey. My next one is my Advent Animals. I didn't finish all of these since my last WIP parade, but I finished the collective set of 25 Advent Animals by Brooks Books since my last parade. The very last one was finished on December 13th. So it is now a complete set. I'm scaring Kitty now because of this. This is how I finished them. I had to fish this out of my Christmas box, and I finally found them. They're very thick. I found this frame on Amazon like 5 years ago, probably, and I cannot find it anymore. But it actually has these little notches in the frame for the rings. But you could potentially kind of MacGyver something like this, a frame with a stand. It's a vertical orientation. I believe it's a 4x6. These are literally 3x5 index cards that I have put some reinforcement stickers on, and I have, there we go. I have sewn them on, as you could see from this. I've sewn them on with the border stitches and then frayed the edges. So this is, I'll just show them all. I think, let's see if I can remember all of the names. Katie Kitty, Peter Polar Bear, and I should probably pause a little bit because some of these later ones, especially, I will have a before picture potentially. So Mary Mouse, Duncan Dog, Hattie Hedgehog. I don't remember which of these I was still working on when I talked to you last, at my last WIP parade. So this is Cashmere Camel. Pierre Penguin. Pearly Pig, I think. Kenny Kangaroo. These are still free on Brooks Books website, as far as I am aware. Sheila Sheep. Fitzwilliam Frog. Sophie Squirrel. Colin Cardinal. Cassie Cow. Rascal Raccoon. Gigi Giraffe. Hamilton Horse. Remy Rabbit. Larry Lion. Odette Owl. Ethan Elephant. Ping Panda. Alistair Alligator. Deborah Donkey. And Rudolph Reindeer. So those are the cute Advent Animals by Brooks Books. They're a set of freebies on her website, and I'm really happy with them. So you will see which ones had before pictures. I started them several years back, and I did just a little bit of each one to have them all partially started, and then I was chipping away at them over the last couple years and got them all done last year. So now they're ready to go. I'm very excited about that. All right, my next finish was in January 21st of this year, was the letter S fairy, and I'll put a picture of that because that is another one that is a gift and I no longer have. So that was for another niece. I had two nieces that graduated this spring from high school. So this was another color conversion. I did the S in most like blacks and dark grays. And then the fairy, I believe, was purple. I'm trying to remember. I'll put a picture up of that one. That's also Nora Corbett 32 count water lily linen 2/2. All of them that I have done have been on the called for fabric. I've just changed up the flosses to match whatever fits that particular niece. I have two more to go, one for my youngest niece and one for my daughter, which I will have a little bit of a break here because I think my niece is a sophomore in high school this year. So she has 3 more years before she'll graduate. And then my daughter is in 6th grade. So she has 4, 5, 6, 7 years. So I have a little bit of a break for those two. So I won't have a letter fairy going for another couple years, but when I have like a year left, then I'll start the next one. Then I have a little finish called Hummingbird, which was a freebie by Teresa Wensler. I cannot find it anymore when I showed it, when I finished it. So that's kind of sad, but at one point it was a freebie and I had just collected it and I was looking for a thank you gift for a fellow stitcher and this fit the bill. It was on 28 count Dove Gray Monaco, I think. I did 1/1 for the hummingbird, and then the other cross stitches were 2/2. They were specialty stitches. I think that's what I worked it on. I can write it in the screen if I messed it up, but I was using my memory. That was finished on January 28th. And then I have begun all the finishes of the Cats and Hearts set that I've been working on. So these are all by Kitty and Me Designs. And, one of them is back there. Okay, so on January 31st, I finished the January one. All of these are 25 count white even weave, 1/1 full cross. And I believe they're all the same size. 101 by, what did I say before? 67? Something like that. So that was a pretty one. Then on February 29, I finished February. So here's this one. You can find these in the Kitty and Me Etsy shop as PDFs. And then on April 13th, I finished March. So I was starting to get a little bit behind here. These ones would have been started since my last, so there's probably not a before picture because I started them and finished them within a month or two. This one is April, but I finished it on May 24th. So as you can see, the May, I was almost done with May, but I was still working on April. So I went ahead and skipped the May's one. And so my next finish is June. But meanwhile, I finished other things. So I finished Dragon Ride on May 27th. And I still have this here. This is framed by Teresa Wensler. Probably should have a before picture because I've been working on this for several years. I did this for my son and I framed it in a frame at Walmart. From a frame I got at Walmart. I framed it myself. And I've got all the beads in the border. There's a lot of blends and fractionals. This is 28 count light blue even weave that I got at Hobby Lobby. It's by MCG Textiles. This was before they got their artiste stuff in. And yeah, I really like how it turned out. So perfect. So that was a fun, big finish this year. And then I had another smaller finish, which is also a gift. Topsy Turvy Tea by Counting Puddles. And this is on 30 count grape linen, 2/2, with the called for, I think, Treenway silks was the brand of those. And this was a stitch along with a couple friends, and I ended up gifting it to one of the friends who decided to not finish it herself. So I gave mine to her. I framed it in this little shadow box white frame I got at Michael's, I think, and shipped that off to her. And I'm so excited she can enjoy that. And then the last two finishes are more Cats and Hearts. So on July 9th, I finished the June Cats and Hearts by Kitty and Me Designs. And then on August 8th, I finished July. And this is the one that's currently in my frame by my nightstand. So yeah, I will show August's in my WIP section, perhaps. Although I probably will forget. So you know what? Maybe I'll just show you now. WIP number 1. This is August. I have had progress since you've seen it in my update video on Monday. I finished the dark green and started in on the corals. I got the light coral all the way done, and I'm working on the next lightest coral. And this is what this will look like. Now that I'm doing WIPs, I gotta start showing the cover pages. So this is the cover page, what they generally all look like, Kitty and Me designs. And this is the August one. So that's what it will look like all together. So hopefully by next WIP parade, I'll have all of these done. So that'll be fun. And that's everything I worked on that I have finished since my last WIP parade. So going forward, all of these are works in progress, and there's 101 more of them since I just showed you my 102nd that didn't make my list. Since it's not on my list, I figured I'll just go ahead and show it now. Okay, my first category is my smallest category, so let's just start with that. It's my counted canvas category, which is not technically cross-stitching, but it's a close cousin to cross-stitching. It's like if needlepoint and cross-stitch had a baby, they would do counted canvas. Because it is, it comes with a chart. It tells you exactly where to do the stitches, and yet it's on a canvas with like more specialty fibers and stuff. So it's a little bit like needlepoint, but it's not as general as needlepoint. Sometimes needlepoint, they have a painted canvas and you just put it kind of in that area. You pick your own stitch. This is a lot more, the instructions are more specific, which I appreciate. I like that. So this one is Rosetto by Needle Delights Originals. I have another one that's a little bit bigger than this, I think, that I have partially kitted, but so far I've been good and I haven't started it because I want to finish this one first. Unfortunately, my needle point store that I was gonna finish kitting that one up has now closed. So I'll have to find a new source for all my threads that I was gonna get there because I loved their prices and their customer service. So I'm really sad they're not here. So this one is, I think I worked on it a little bit since my last WIP parade. Maybe I'll just do these. So here is this one. This is on 18 count eggshell mono canvas with the called for fancy flosses. Some of them are sparkly. And as you can see, I was working, these are like symmetrical, these are the same, these are the same, these are the same. So this one and this one are the same. And I was working on these at the stitch, like a stitch day at the needlepoint shop. There's a few cross stitchers there too, but I figured this would be a fun one to bring when I go there. So now I have to find time to do it on my own at home since I can't go there anymore. But yeah, this one's not that big technically, stitch count wise. So this might actually make it on my year, try to finish next year list, because it actually goes pretty fast when I sit down and do it, because the stitches kind of, you know, they take longer stretches canvas than just a regular cross stitch. So it actually whips up fairly quickly and it's super fun. So I might put that on my short list for next year. So I'm going to put all this away and gather up my next category, which I think will be fancy ladies, and I'll bring all those, and I'll have to wait and see after that, depending on how much I chat about them. I'll try to keep comments brief so that we have a lot to go through, but I may have to come back tomorrow and do the rest of the filming, so we shall see. Stay tuned. Okay, I've reset now with my fancy lady category of projects. I have 23 works in progress in this category. They're all gorgeous. I can't spend time on all of them all the time, but I enjoy working on them whenever they come up. Like I alluded to before, if I have a progress picture from the last WIP parade, I will share it, or I'll say no progress. Some of these I don't remember. I have many of them on my WIP Go board for this year, which is a bingo game where there's 2 called every month. Some of them have yet to come up this year, and so I will stitch on them this year, but haven't yet. And some of them may have been stitched on the last quarter of last year, and I don't remember. So you'll be aware if there's before pictures if I put them in, because I'll know once I go cull them all out of my WIP parade from last year, I can put them in. I didn't watch that yet, so that might have been good to do before now, because then I would have had an idea, a better idea of what I worked on before, but that's okay. Let's get started. These are alphabetical within the category. So to start out, I have Adia, the Garden Fairy by Mirabilia. Most of these are Mirabilias. So this one was started ages ago. I don't keep track of start dates, at least I haven't. I'm considering going back and kind of compiling the dates that I know from since I started my videos, which has been 7 years perhaps. So I might be able to get the last 7 years worth of start dates from there. So we'll see. We'll see if I go back and do that. Or at least the journals that I was keeping. So here's this one. This one is on, I believe, the called for fabric. 32 count something. Dirty linen. All of my Mirabilias, for the most part, are 2/2 full cross on 32 count. And I like to bead in Koreanic as I go. I stitch in hand with it rolled up in my left hand, and then I do the poke and stab method with my right hand. So I can do all the pretty stuff as I go, and it isn't affected by a Q-snap or a hoop. I do like to do that stuff from the top down because I don't want to handle it too much. So that's why a lot of this is started from the top down. So that's my first one. Next I have Ashley's Roses, another Mirabilia. This one I think is out of print. A good number of these are out of print, but I got them when they were regular. Regular print. Because I've been doing this a long time. Here it is. I've got too many over here. They get lost. So here is this one. This one is only on the top. I haven't really got the lady done. This is cream, 32 count cream linen, which is the called for. And I have her start of her hand there, right in the middle. But mostly I was trying to work on all these bows at the top because I knew if I went into the lady, I wouldn't come back. And since I like to work on the top down, or I wouldn't want to come back. I would come back, but I want to get that all done before I work down so that I don't have to handle the lady with my hand while I am stitching the top. So I will be good and I will finish that before I work down into the lady. Then I have the Celtic Ladies collage that I've put together from the Celtic Seasons from Lavender and Lace. I charted these in my software and kind of coordinated them all together, taking bits and pieces from each chart and putting them together. So they're the called for colors except for the hair and skin. I think these two are the ones that I changed the hair and skin, so they'd all be a little bit different. This one might be the same, or I might have made it red hair. I can't remember. That one I think is original. But all the dress colors are called for. And I even have a few of the needle paint cottons that are called for. Not all of them, but some of them. So that's fun. So here is this one. And I have done some since last time. And I'll be working on this autumn quadrant is in September, so that'll be fun. This one is winter has, not as much done, although it has all the words done, so that's a good amount. The lady's not done yet. Spring made good progress. Summer made some good progress. So now I'll do autumn and winter yet this year. I'm trying to do this for some seasonal Sunday stitching at least once a month, or 1 month out of the year for each quadrant. So we'll see how that goes the rest of eternity until I finish this one. This is 32 count lamb's wool linen, 2x2. I also do, I only do 2x2 skin as well. I don't like, honestly, I don't like the look of 1/1 skin, and I don't find it worth my time. I know a lot of people like it, and it's worth it to a lot of people, but you'll find all my skin is 2/2 because that's how it's charted, and it looks fine, and it doesn't take forever. And I would honestly rather spend my time working on the pretty dresses than fiddly bits of all this solid color skin. No, thank you. And they still look beautiful doing it that way. So if you've ever thought, oh, I can't do a fancy lady because I don't want to do 1/1 skin, you don't have to. You can even do them on Aida cloth, because I've seen lots of pretty ones on Aida. The only fractionals that Nora Corbett charts usually are around the edges of the skin. So like all the dresses and bits and bobs are all full crosses. So there's only a little bit of fractionals that needs to happen. So you can definitely do it on Aida. The next one is the Cottage Garden Fairy. This is also Mirabilia. I believe you can still find this one. I don't think it's out of print. What am I doing this one on? This one is on 32 count Dappled Hollow, which I just love the name of that. I think this is Under the Sea Fabrics. I'm not 100% sure, but this is my start. Very meager start. I don't know if I've worked on this yet this year or not, or if it's yet to come up on my WIP Go board, but my friend Desiree is working on hers. She's got a lot done on it, and it looks great. So it'll be fun to pull this out again and get some better progress on it, make it look more like something. So that's that one. Then there's the Daisy Girl. This is a Leisure Arts leaflet. I don't know who the designer is. Sandy Orton. So I should look this up, see if this is maybe on the Cooler Design Studio website, because they have a lot of things in there that are now Pattern Keeper compatible. I should take a look. This one is a restart, and I'm happy with it now for the most part. Let's see, where is this one? I think this one is it. Yep. This is now like a mystery light green mottled 32 count, and I'm doing it 2/2. It's called for 3/2 on 28 count, and when I first started it, I was doing it on a light gray 32 count with 3 strands over 2, and it was very thick. But I would do everything as called for, but apparently I had picked a different fabric because maybe that's what I could find. But it was miserable to stitch on, and because some of the colors are blends with 2 of one color, 2 strands of one color and 1 strand of another color, I felt like, oh, I have to do 3 strands. But I've just restarted it 2/2. If it calls for a blend like that, I'll just do 1 of each color and call it good. So I've simplified it and restarted it. So I don't remember if that's on my WIP Go board or not, but it'll get progress eventually. So this is Edwardian Lady by Joan Elliott. It's my only, no, it's one of 2 Joan Elliott. It's my only like big Joan Elliott. And I worked on this a little bit, not that long ago, for WIP Go this year. This is on 32 count Fairy Mist, Lugana by Fabric Flare. It's a printed fabric. Very pretty. So I think her hat is now officially finished, and I'm working in on her hair, and slowly but surely on this one. This is a pretty one. I like her dress, and I love the colors. Then we have Enchanted Alphabet, which is in my Fancy Lady category because it's a lavender and lace, and it technically has a little girl with a fancy dress, but I am actually taking the little girl out and squishing it together. So there is actually no Fancy Lady in this one, but it's still in this category because it's a lavender and lace. So it's still here. It's okay. I guess it maybe could be more categorized as a sampler now, but it is what it is. So this one is 45 count Society Time linen, 1/2 full cross. Because there are no beads in this one, I could get away with a smaller count. There's no blends either, which is nice. And I have pushed the letters together, rearranged them just a little bit. And the bunny and some bushes will be here. I think there's another bush here, and then there's a butterfly up here, I think. So there's a little bit more to go. It's very close to being finished. So this is going to be on my short list to try to finish next year in 2025. So that's fun. I think it's doable. Give it some time. Then I have Foxglove by Nora Corbett. This is actually a Nora Corbett. All of the Mirabilias are designed by Nora Corbett, but the Nora Corbett branded things are smaller. So the stitch count is smaller. This is on a blue-gray 32 count Belfast linen. And I started this at a retreat with Colette the Highway Stitcher. And I didn't do any more since the retreat, but I think it's on my WIP Go board. So I should be able to make some progress on this later this year. So that'll be nice. We wanted something like not too busy to take away from all the fiery colors and movement in her. So I think this will be perfect. So can't wait to get back to that one. But so far, not a whole lot. I don't think there would have been a before picture because I haven't worked on it yet this year. What's next? Garden Prelude by Mirabilia. This one's really fun. There were called for 3 Karen water lilies, but they were only in the flowers. And so I decided to sub them out for some fancy floss that I had. I think they're Victoria Motto and Color and Cotton that I had that looked similar to the colors that were called for. So they're in my stash. Everything else is the called for DMC. And this is 32 count Wedgwood Lugana by Color and Cotton. So this is where I got to. I believe I worked on this earlier this year, so there should be a before picture. And I worked in the flowers, I'm pretty sure. Maybe a little bit of dress, I'm not sure. But I thought that'd be fun to kind of try out some of those colors. So the greens, I believe, are all DMC, and then the flowers are those fancy flosses. And I think it'll look nice. Pretty fun. So there's that one. It's a horizontal one. Most of them are vertical, so this one's kind of interesting in that it's horizontal. Oh yeah, 32 count Wedgwood Lugana. I think I said that. It's a nice blue-gray color. She's done, at the top of her is done, and the top of the arches are all done as well. So that feels good to have things completed as you go down. I have all of my projects in rolls. Since this is a WIP parade, some people may come that haven't watched me before. A lot of them are like the plastic sleeves you'll get fabric in the craft store. Some of them are the rectangle or the square hard plastic. I think things used to come in this. Some of them might still come like that. Some of them are wrapping paper tubes. Put a post-it note on the bottom. Hey, kitty. This one is one I literally made with cardstock, cut it and taped it. Post-it note on the bottom. Nothing fancy. It works. Then I have Halloween Fairy. This is a Nora Corbett design. You can find this on the Hirschner's website. There's 3 Nora Corbett designs that you can find there and there only. They're downloads, formerly from magazines. So this was a fun one. Hi, kitty. This one is on 32 count Mushroom Slushy by Fabric Flare. It's a printed fabric. All of those 32 count 2/2 with all the called for everything. The moon and swirls are finished, and I did some beading in her, I think, since I showed this last. I still need to work on her dress and all the pumpkins and everything. So there's a good amount left on this. I feel like it's not that far away, and yet it is far away. There's a good amount of stitching left on this one. But I would like to finish it sooner than later, but I'm not sure if it's quite ready for the short list of try to finish it next year. We'll see. It might go on the end of that list of things that if I chip off enough off of my list next year, it could be a start working towards a finish at the bottom of the list, because it's not that big. What's next? Lady of the Flag by Mirabilia. This is one I actually purchased in 2001 from my local needle workshop, or yeah. And so this is, I didn't start it until later though, because I didn't have a good fabric for it. So I have now started it on 32 count Stony Point. Go ahead and put these papers back here. It's kind of see-through fabric. Stony Point linen, 2/2 full cross. So I think I worked on this earlier this year too. I did some in the flowers, maybe some in her dress here. I think I kind of just pulled some things down along the way. But I think the blue patch of the flag is finished. Her torch is done, her head is done. So that's fun. I have some company now. And then I have Lady of the Mist by Mirabilia. This one is quite large, so a lot of people need a fat half to stitch it on, especially if you're using a 28 count. I managed to fit it on a 32 count, but the margins are small. But since I stitch in hand, I don't need it on a Q-snap, and I can usually frame things myself, I figured it's okay. But it's literally like 1.25 inches on the sides. But this is 32 count light denim linen by Color and Cotton, and it's beautiful. I love this fabric. I don't think I've worked on this yet this year, and I think it might be on my WIP Go board. I'm not positive. This one calls for some variegated flosses that are like DMC variegateds, variations, I think. And so 2 of them I was able to find the correct color, but the brown at the time, I couldn't find it. It wasn't in my Joann's or wherever, and it didn't want to make an order just for one floss. So this is actually a Victorian motto that I found that was close. So this border will be that Victorian motto instead of the DMC variations color. So I think it'll be fine, especially since it's in the border. It's not like it's gonna be in anything else that'll affect, that the variegation will affect anything else. So that's a pretty one. I hope it's on my WIP Go board because I want to work on that one again. Next we have Mayday Merriment, which was found in the Cross Stitch Gold July 2010. I picked this up at a stitching retreat, and it's right here on the cover, but it's also in the big picture in the middle. This is a Joan Elliott. Mayday Merriment is what it's called in this magazine. I believe there's a similar version on Joan Elliott's Facebook group that calls for beads as well, and I don't know if there's any other differences, but it's a slightly different pattern. It's very similar. This particular magazine version does not call for beads, and I decided to keep that aspect of it the same. I am, however, changing all of the dress colors and hair colors and everything to fancy flosses instead of doing the shading that she calls for, which is kind of weird, but I'm like, you know what? Let's try this. Let's have fun with this. So this is on 32 count Spring Morning Jobelin by Color and Cotton. And I don't know if I worked on this since my last WIP parade, but I guess you'll see if I did. So all of these are like, this is 1 green instead of like 3 greens, 1 purple instead of 3 purples. And I'm kind of stitching, this is all 1 pink, but I'm stitching it in like the flow of what the dress should be, so that hopefully it will still look good. As the color changes, it'll be like in the direction of the ripples and folds that she intended. So I'm hoping that'll look okay. Skin is as charted, I believe, but everything else I switched out. This is a fat 1/8, not a fat 1/4, so it is a small one. So maybe at some point this can be on my, like Halloween Fairy, it's a little bit too big to put on my try to finish it next year list, but it could be on the end of that list with Halloween Fairy on, if I have time, kind of push them a little closer to that list to get them done, maybe 26. Then we have Nantucket Rose by Lavender and Lace. There's so much more to go on this one, but it's pretty. And I'm working on this one for a long time, and I am converting it to be like Anne of Avonlea or Anne of Green Gables in the second movie. At the beginning of that movie, when she's writing her novel on the beach, that's what this reminds me of. So I've recharted the house to look a little bit more like Green Gables colors and recharted her hair. And I have a color conversion Google Drive where I've listed the hair color. And I think I might have put the house colors in there too. But yeah, this is 32 count silver linen by MCG Textiles, 2/2 full cross. I don't know that I've made progress on that since I showed it before, but maybe. Then I have Once Upon a Time by Lavender and Lace. This is a fun one that I hadn't seen until recently, and like in the past couple years. I'm like, oh, that's really fun. So she's got more of a medieval outfit, and then this all in the background is like monochromatic. Super fun. And I'm doing it on the called for linen because it worked really well with that, the colors that were called for that background castle. I went ahead and just stuck with the linen, which I think is natural. Yeah, 32 count natural linen. And there's some petite treasure braid in there for the frame of the background. And this is her wrist, I think, here, and the bird will be up top. But I kind of worked my way around here so I could do the top down. So I'll probably keep working on this next time before coming back to her, like I did with the Ashley's Roses. So that border you see is a little sparkly. So that's fun. 2/2 full cross. This is enjoyable, as they all are. I mean, I don't have them if I don't like them, so. I just have too many to work on them all, any individual one with any sort of regularity, because they're all just for fun. So that's okay. Peony Garden. This is the only one I've started this year. This is by Mirabilia. And I am using, there's a lot of silks in here. So I'm using all the silks, except for the border, because I think I'm going to leave the border off. That was a silk. And I'm like, I don't need it. So I'm not going to do it. This is on what is billed as a 32 count smoky blue dyed effect fabric by Fabric Flare. That's where I got to. But it is acting more like a 36 count. So I will probably need to sub out the beads for some smaller sizes. But other than that, I'll just keep going on this one. And got her face done. I started in the middle at her knee and kind of worked my way up to her face. So next time I can start working from the top down like I like to do. Yeah, it's a little greener than it's showing, but blues and greens have a hard time on camera. Then we have Petal Fairy by Mirabilia. And I don't have a ton done on her either. A lot of these I just started because it was fun. This one is on a fun 32 count creme de menthe fabric. It's a little brighter green than it's showing, but this is a nice rich green, and just I think one day on it at one point. So I think this might be on my WIP board. I'm not sure. That's the beginning of her bodice right in the center. but I'll probably try to work my way up as well on this one to get a better start. This might be the one that has the least amount of progress, actually. Summer Queen used to have that title, but this one looks like it took the title. So that one definitely needs some more work. Next is Roses of Provence by Mirabilia. So pretty. I am doing this on 32 count Stonehenge linen by Color and Cotton. It's a beautiful gray, green, pink modelly color. Super fun. And as you can see, I think her hair and beads and everything in her hair is completed now, which is super fun. Super blingy. She's got some big treasures in there. And so next time I work on this, I can work on her hand and even the topiary tree next to her, which is like another tall feature. Super fun. I like that one. Color and Cotton linen is very nice to work with. I've never been in their Fabric of the Month club, but I like to, but there was one time when I had several things I wanted to kit up, and I just picked linens and waited, you know, however many months. And I think they do things a little differently now. They might have some pre-order spots that open up every once in a while if you're willing to wait for them to be dyed special for you. They also have a brick and mortar store now if you're in Missouri, St. Louis, which I am not, but that would be amazing to go there someday. Next I have Stargazer by Mirabilia. This one's about half done, although the bottom is pretty stitch heavy, about there. This one is on the docket to be worked in September, so it will get 2 days in September, which is fun. So this one, I did a color conversion, and I dyed this fabric myself. It's originally 32 count white linen by MCG Textiles, and I dyed it with a double dose of denim, RIT, and all those beads at the top are finished, so I'm just working on her dress now. And I think the color conversion for this is on my color conversion Google Drive as well, that you can find linked in all my description boxes. I think I have this one in there. And I have some of the letter fairies in there too. Christmas elf fairy. There's a few things that I've changed the colors that I've included down there. So then there's Summer Queen. This one has been slow going. I'm not sure why. I think this is my least favorite of all of them. And I love summer colors, but her, I don't know. She just hasn't called to me as much over the years. I have spring and autumn queens finished, and spring is currently on my wall, so I should probably switch out autumn now that summer is upon us, or September is upon us very shortly. I should switch that out to autumn. And I also have Royal Holiday finished, which I bring out at Christmas time. And I have the same spot above my desk that gets all the ladies, and I just switch them out for the season that they're in. This is on 32 count oyster linen by MCG Textiles. And I started in the middle and worked my way up, so it looks really weird. So it'll be fun to fill this out more at some point so you can kind of know what's going on. But I did finish her face finally. So next time I work on this, I can work on her hair and crown and all of that. So goals. Okay, next is Villa Mirabilia. This is another out of print chart, which I picked up when it was not out of print ages ago, probably 20 years ago. I have a date on this. 1998. So it was probably early 2000s when I picked this up. This is a fat half for sure. It's my largest fabric of a fancy lady, and it takes up most of it. So I might even have to back up and scare Smokey to show you. This is, I think, the called for 32 count willow green. I got it at an LNS, so it's either the called for or something very similar that they had in stash or in stock at the time. I kitted it up on an anniversary trip. So it's probably 20 years old, and I'm still chipping away at it. I love the colors of the dress, but the last couple years I've been kind of slogging away at that pot and bush in the background, because again, I want to try to get that done. So when I work on the dress, I'm not holding on to so much of the dress when I'm stitching the pot. So the pot is not yet finished. One of these days I will finish the pot and continue on with the lady. Julie at Stitching in the Cabin finished her Villa Mirabilia this year, last year, pretty recently. Spectacular. And hers was similar to mine, where it was like a 20-year-old WIP. So congratulations, Julie. I aspire to that someday. But since I spread my time so thin, it just doesn't happen. I don't get progress on these as quickly as I should, I suppose. But it's fun. It's not a race. It's not a race. I'm not stressing out about it, so you shouldn't either. All right, let's scoot forward again. Then we have Winter Queen by Mirabilia. And this one is on a 32 count white even weave by MCG Textiles. And all of my other seasonal queens are on white also, because that's what's called for. So the summer queen ended up on oyster because I had oyster and white in my stash, and oyster was mostly white but just had a slight warm tint to it. So when I started this one in summer, kind of around the same time, I went ahead and gave summer the oyster because it still looked white, but it was a warmer white. And then winter, spring, and autumn are all on actual white by MCG Textiles. So it doesn't have to be fancy fabric to do a fancy lady. These are like craft store linens that I bought just probably with a coupon, like $5 for this piece of fabric. So, and it looks pretty, so I'm okay with it. Last but not least in this category is my Winter Rose by Lavender and Lace. And this is one you would have just seen if you watched my regular update videos, because I worked on it last week before, pretty recently. This one is another one, since there's no beading, I did it on a small count fabric. So this is 46 count vintage Misty Rain linen, 1/2 full cross. And there's a couple blends in this that I didn't realize were there until I started it. So the blend in the green is, I did 2 strands. It's slightly bulky. So there's a good amount of a different color in her dress that's a blend. And I'm going to do that bottom leg dark, top leg light of the blend and see how that goes. I haven't done it yet, but I've heard that works. So we shall see. We'll try that next time I pull this out. This one is going to be on my short list to try to finish next year because it is a rather small stitch count as well. So that'll be fun. Smokey says hi. So I will probably, I will probably not be able to film anymore today. So I will put this all away, regroup tomorrow with another category or 2 or 3 and see how it goes. And I'll put this all together later for you. So with that, bye for now. Hi, it's now Thursday, August 29th, and I'm here with Smokey on my lap, so she's probably gonna move very soon. But I have all my full coverage pieces. So this is my next category. It is my largest category. There are 40 pieces in this category that are started. Most of them probably will never get finished in my lifetime, and I'm aware of that, but they're just fun to work on. They're fun to make progress on, to see the picture develop. I can't help myself. And I have one more that I'm planning to start in November, I think. But I also will probably finish one. So it'll be a wash. I'll probably end the year with 40 as well. So anyways, without further ado, these will be in alphabetical order as everything else is. So the first one is from Artisy, African Woman with Peonies 2. I think there are 2 different ones. Artwork by Frederick Bazille. This one I'm doing, this is on 25 count Prim vintage cloth with a 2/1 half stitch. And I'm pretty sure I worked on this a little bit this year in full coverage February. I'm sneezing. I was petting Smokey Now her hair gets everywhere. She's still on my lap though. So that's a fun one. I like working on that. This is the whole width of the design and it goes pretty quickly. It's not particularly large. That one's a fun one. Maybe it'll eventually get finished. No promises. Next is Quick Stitch April Fairy. Gotta have a good system here. If Smokey wasn't on my lap, this would be a little bit easier. This is by Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Hannah Lynn. This is a very sweet one. There we go. This scared her enough that she left. This is on 28 count Rose Monaco, 1/1 full cross. And I don't know if I've worked on this yet this year or not. It may still be on my WIP Go board. You will see if there's a before picture. But I am doing this in a very particular stitch by stitch method so that every stitch comes up in a hole with 0 or 1 threads already in it and goes down in a hole with like 2 or 3 threads already in it. So that's very neat. It's very slow, but it's very neat. I only have this one I'm doing that way. And it is kind of soothing and relaxing and fun in a different way. So I'm not making progress that fast on this one, but it is kind of a fun little experiment. So I'll keep doing it that way. The next one is Autumn Montage by Janet Stever. Artwork is charted by Pain Free Crafts. And I am up in the top leaf block there. This is on 28 count Mushroom Lugana, 1/1 full cross. And I believe, have I worked on this yet this year? I don't think so. I think this one will be coming out in October and November for my seasonal stitching, but it's possible I worked on it in October and November or one of those months last year since my WIP parade. So there might actually be some progress. So these are all 1/1 full cross on the 28 count. I have all 4 of these montages started and I like to work on them on Sundays. Last year, I think I gave them 1 month of Sundays per season. And this year they're getting 2 months per season. So a little bit more progress, still not a lot, but it's something. Next, we have Mini Bear Time Stories by Randall Spangler, artwork charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. And this is one of my family pieces, so I make progress on this regularly. This one will have a significant amount of progress probably. I also have some extra progress even since my update video on Monday because I worked on it a little bit. This is 40 count Verdal 1/1 half cross. This is the entire design. I'm doing a lot of the colors, extreme cross country. So pretty fun. I like that one. It looks like there's so much going on and so much done, but there's a little over 25%. So there's still a lot left. Smokey's in the corner playing, rolling around, chasing her tail. Then we have Mini Bird Song by Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Tatiana Fedorova. This is a bigger picture that I printed out. See it a little bit better. This is the mini. There is a larger version, but I thought the mini was fine, and I'm also making it even more mini because I'm stitching it also on 40 count Verdal 1/1 half cross, and I think this was the first one I tried it on, and I enjoyed it. So this is, I think, the full width of this design now. I finally made it to the other side. I think this first page is done, and then I started working a little bit more, filling in parked threads, and then I am doing my 10 by 10 symbol choosing, which got me all the way to the edge. I still have more symbols to pick in here, but yeah, so that's fun. I don't know if that one has come out this year or if it will, but we'll have to see on that one. I don't remember what's on my WIP Go board because there are 40 here and there's only 25 spots on a WIP Go board. I had to pick which projects would I be super excited about when they get called. I didn't want ones that, I like all of these, but some of them aren't calling to me as loudly at the moment. So I didn't want to put those ones on the list on my WIP Go board because then if they got called, I'd be like, Oh, okay. And I don't want that feeling. I don't want to associate it with something negative. So this coming year, I would like to touch all of them again for sure, but I might pick them for like challenges or themes to try to make sure they get touched in a fun way. So that's my plan. Next, we have Cat Alphabet, another Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Irina Garmashova. I am up here in the Cat Alphabet block. I'm going to finish that whole little block before I go on to the letters. There's somebody on Instagram who is going really well with this one. They have a lot of letters done, which is fun to see. This is the regular size, regular colors. I think there might be a couple different versions of it. This is 28 count Ivory Lugana 1/1 full cross. And I have the top row of 10 by 10 squares completed. And then wherever those threads go, and then I think I'm working my way across the second one now to pick symbols and work those in. So you can see where the word cat is going to be. Lots of pretty colors in this one. I like especially working across the top, I got to work on, I get to work on all the different types of colors in one rotation, which is really fun. It's not just one palette. It's a very mixed palette, which is very fun. I like it. All right, the next one is from Artisy. This is Delightful Waltz by Leonid Afromov, and this is the large version. If you go over to Shiloh, Xstitch MD, I think, on Instagram, she's been sharing her progress. Maybe even, I don't know if she has a recent video, but she's like 50%, but she's doing the mini. So hers is going a lot faster, but she's also stitching on it quite a bit and it looks amazing. So if you want to see that, go check hers out. Here's mine. This is mine. Mine is, it's the large version, but I'm stitching it on 40 count. French, let's see. Silver Moon, 40 count Silver Moon linen, 1/1 half cross. So it won't be super large in general, but there's a lot more stitching. So I think I might have reached the halfway point in the top, picking symbols. Lots of colors on this one too, so that's always fun. I've kind of always liked his work, but this one spoke to me more. I love pretty dresses, so that one was definitely up my alley. Next one is Heaven and Earth Designs Mini Elegant Lady with a Bouquet by Emil Vernon. And so this is a fun one to be 25 count 1/1. I only had this one I had only one 25 count 1/1, which was Quick Stitch Iris, which I finished a few years ago. So when I finished that, I'm like, oh, I need another one because this is really fun to work on. And so I started this one to fulfill that need. I now have a second one, which is later in the alphabet, but you'll see that too. So now I have two projects. 1/1, this is 25 count Barley vintage cloth. And I made it all the way to the side with the picking symbols just across the top row. So then I think I was going back through the 10 by 10 square last time I worked on it to pick symbols in the whole 10 by 10 square. I don't know. I may have worked on it more since this. I don't know. You'll see the before picture if I have before progress since my last time, or if I have made progress since last time. Some of these have been stitched on because of the WIP calls and different things, but some of them have not. So we'll see. This is Empress Eugenie by Golden Kite. I'm cropping off a couple rows here, a couple rows here, a couple huge pages here. So I'm actually considering a restart on this one because, as you can see, the original artwork they're using is quite dark. There's some new ones now that you can find that have a very bright, vibrant artwork. And the whole point of this was to stitch all the pretty dresses. So I think I would have a lot more fun stitching it if it was brighter and more colorful. So I will show you what I've got, but I think there's a high likelihood that this one will be restarted before I work on it again. This is on 20 8 count Dove Gray Monaco, and it's 2/1 half stitches. So I was picking symbols in the corner, and then I think some of the colors maybe went over to her, this first lady's face, and then, or head, I guess. And then there might have been sometimes I worked on it where I specifically picked some colors in there just to fill her out some more. I'm not sure. I don't know if I worked on this since last time, but it's a big old piece of fabric. So most likely if I get a new one, I'll probably want to just reuse this fabric. I have seen one that I'm not sure I want to get, but it has blends as well. So this, I need to do this on 28 count with a 2 strand because there's blends. But if I find one with all solid colors, then I can maybe do a 40 count and get the finished size a little smaller. The next one is another golden kite, the end of the ball. This is their regular size. I love her dress too. And her little shoe poking out here at the bottom. I won't be there for a long time. I'm up here in the curtain and a little bit of their heads are starting to show. This is on 24 count Congress cloth, which is like a canvas, but it's very helpful for helping your stitches not warp as much. So this is where I've gotten to in this one, 2/1 half stitches. And you can, I've been picking symbols across the top, but I've also managed to come down and find their heads. So this is the man's face, and this is the back of the woman's head. So that's always fun. I love to see the foreground start to come into focus there. So that's a fun one. And I have a matching needle minder somebody sent me, which is really great. Okay, let's get this open again. Next is the Flower Garden by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is also Emile Vernon. He is the artist with Elegant Lady with a Bouquet, and I also have 3 sisters. So I think I have 3 by this artist. 2 of them are Heaven and Earth Designs, and one of them is a golden kite. So this one is, this was my largest project, but I think a different one has surpassed it now by stitch count. So this is my progress on Flower Garden. This is 2/1 half stitches on 28 count Rose Monaco. I don't know if there's been any work done since last time or not. Just in the background so far, which is maybe a little bit why I'm not drawn to this one as much off and on, because the colors are pretty, but I do like when I stitch my Mirabilias, I like to get up to the face and have something pretty to look at while I'm working on the rest of it. And this one will be in the background of the flowers for a little while. So this one is a rechart from a Bucilla kit that was a needlepoint kit. And I recharted it in my pattern software because needlepoint patterns are not really square by square, but this one had at least kind of stair-steppy blocks to go by, so I could kind of figure it out. And I put it in my pattern software stitch by stitch. So now I can use Pattern Keeper, and I am doing it on 18 count Ada because I didn't like the needlepoint canvas having it all painted on there, and the stitches on the pattern didn't match what was painted, and it was just messing with my brain. So like, just give me a pattern and I'll put it where it needs to go. So now this is a cross stitch WIP, and I've got the first 10 by 10 block finished, and I'm working through the second one, picking symbols. 18 count 2/1 full cross. There will be some back stitching and things in here, so that's why I'm not doing it any smaller than 18. But I like 18 for full coverage. It's full, but not too tight, unless there's a lot of confetti, and then it can get tricky. But then we have the Grand Library Romance. Technically a quick stitch, but it's not small. It's just a chunk of the artwork. of her bookshelf. They're all bookshelf patterns. The library, I think it's the library, the grand library, they have different shelves. And this one, I believe it's larger than even the supersize chunk of the pattern would have been. I think they just took the artwork, cropped this shelf, and then blew it up as big as they wanted. But this is Heaven and Earth Designs. This is my favorite genre, so I figured let's stitch that one. Here it is. This one is on 40 count French lace, and because it's kind of long and skinny, I am stitching this one vertically, not horizontally. It's going to be a little bit easier to manage the fabric. So here is where this one's at now. 40 count French lace linen 1/1 half cross. I believe I did a little bit since last time. Came up on WIP Go one time. So you can see the outlines of like the houses and things in the alley that they have on the edge of the pattern. So this one is, I believe over here is where I'm stitching. So that's my start on that one. Then we have a golden kite, grapes. This is a small version, so they do have a more detailed version, but I like, the small was good enough for me. And this one is on 18 count because it's one of my earlier starts. And it's fairly close to, I mean, it's like, it has a good chunk done on it. This is 18 count, 2/1 full cross on like a oatmeal Aida. So I love this one. It's so pretty. And I have stitched this in a variety of ways. I've got the top row of pages finished. I was doing parking, I was doing vertical parking, horizontal parking, trying to find what I liked. Once Pattern Keeper came around, I'm like, I don't even want to park anymore. I just want to pick a symbol and stitch it wherever it goes. So then I finally got all the park threads stitched in, and now I can pick symbols along the grids like I've been liking to do on my other projects. So don't know if this has come out yet this calendar year, but I think it might be on my WIP Go board because I do want to push this one along because it has a potential to actually be finished. It's has a good chunk done on it already. So this is a fairly recent start that may have been started since my last WIP parade. He Has Risen, artwork by Donna Gelsinger, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I was gifted this in the large, like the regular size version. There are mini versions as well, which I like those. They don't look bad. This was a little crisper, and since I already had it, I'm like, I'll just do it. It's fine. I think I gave myself the, if this, I had this even weave fabric in my stash from a craft store, and I said, if this pattern, regular size, fits that fabric, I will just start the one I have and not worry about buying the mini. It fit. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the big one. So here is my small start. This is, let's see, I think I have a new page of details. 3 pages of notes for my, all my projects. So now we're on He Has Risen. This is 28 count light blue even weave. I believe it's it's either MCG Textiles or Charles Craft or something. It was from a craft store, like 2/1 half stitch for the background, and I'm going to do 1/1 full cross for the foreground, especially because on these letters I want them to be crisp. Not, sometimes when you do a half stitch it gets jagged and odd, so I'm going to do full crosses for the cross, probably also the hill and He Has Risen, but all the sky will be half stitches. So I think it'll be my own version of a dimensions kit. Next we have Hibiscus Fairy by Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Meredith Dillman. So pretty. I love these colors. I love that she's holding a cat. I love the flowers. So this one is on 28 count tea-dyed Monaco, also probably Charles Craft. I made it the full width of the design with picking symbols in just the top row as you can see from some of these areas where it's really close. And then I think I might have then got to the edge and then come back, and now I'm picking symbols in the 10 by 10 grid all the way across the top. But you can already see the start of like the archway that's going to be around her, and then some leaves and things. So super pretty. 1/1 full cross on this one. I don't know if I said that on the 28 count tea-dyed Monaco. I kind of pick half cross versus full cross. If I really want something to go faster, I'll do a half cross. If I think something might benefit from being crisper, like this one has a little bit of a line drawn look, I think full crosses will look better. Sometimes I just want that experience of a full cross versus a half cross. So I have a variety, all the different kinds. And sometimes it's just a gut feeling or what I'm in the mood for. This one is Heaven and Earth Designs Hidden Harbor Color Expansion. So artwork by Andy Russell. They don't have a full-on max colors, but this is more colors than the original, and I thought it helped give it extra detail. This one is 28 count tea-dyed Monaco also. You used to be able to find this pretty regularly in the craft stores. Don't know, you might be able to find it on like Fat Quarter Shop and different places still. Sometimes you have to be careful, the weave is not particularly even, but sometimes it's fine. So I think this is the end. But I am picking symbols in the top 10 by 10 grid and taking pictures every time I finish a 10 by 10 square. So that's fun. Eventually I'll have every time I show this in my update videos, I do a little montage recap. And these are going all the way over here because the colors that I'm picking in these 10 by 10 grids, I cut a length of thread and there's only like a couple stitches here, so I can finish my string out way over here. And I'm choosing to go that way rather than down so that I can have things finished as I get to the next blocks upcoming in my path of stitching. This is a pretty one. Lots of pretty colors. Pretty colors are kind of a defining thing with my pieces. I love all the colors. This is La Soiree by Golden Kite. This is their medium version. They have a larger and a smaller, I think. This one was just right. I'm taking a page off the top, page off the side. I don't need all that background in my life. I'm there for the dresses. And they're doing some music, so that's fun. This is also on the 24 count Congress cloth. It's a 2/1 half stitch. So here is this one. Oh, it is going down even farther to finish out the colors that I was working on at the time. 2/1 half stitch, and you can see I have like a page. I think I was stopping at the pages for certain things at one point, and you can see the hair starting of the first girl. I think I really want to just do a color of hair because if I was picking symbols across the top, I wouldn't have gotten that color. But that's that one. It'll be fun now that things can be starting to show up. This one is extra wide because it's a horizontal orientation as well. All right, the next one is Minnie the Library by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is max colors, and it wasn't that many, only 124. So not that much more than regular, which their regulars are like 89 colors usually. So Auguste Tumouche, I don't know. Oh, one of the lids came off of that. So this is a fun one. Again, I love her dress, but currently I am in the bookshelves at the top. This is 28 count Rose Monaco, 2/1 half stitches. Picking symbols in the 10 by 10 grid at the top and then working them in wherever they go. And this is a small one, so I think I maybe close to the center already. So she won't appear until like down here, but it's pretty. The bookshelves are fun to work on because you can see structure. It's something, at least. It's not just a random background. That's a fun one. Then I have Lollipop by Tilton Crafts, artwork by Denise Garbus. This is one of my family pieces for my daughter, so I've got some good progress on this one. Not sure when I started it, but there might be a before. This is 40 count Verdal, 1/1, half cross. And I am getting close to the, well, maybe not. I think the halfway point might be here. But I got into the moon, and you can start to see the very light edges of the dragon wings starting to appear. Beautiful colors to work with. This one's fun. I like to bring my family pieces out 2 days every month to make sure they're seeing consistent progress, and I'm working on essentially full coverages for all of them. At the moment, they all have something not full coverage already finished. So most of them are in here. One of them is a full coverage no background, which will be my next category, so you won't see that one quite yet. Here is the Love Letter by Golden Kite. This one had a smaller version as well, but I really liked the detail in like the roses and her dress and all of that in the regular version. So I went with the regular. This is, here it is. This is on a 25 count linen, I think. And I've done a variety of methods on this one too. So here is, I'm not sure how I'm gonna do the before and afters. Maybe I'll do a before and after like this. I may not have done anything more on this one. Originally I was doing pages. I think there's like 3 pages finished, and the feathers on her hat look so realistic there. But now I'm in the process of working in those parked threads, which takes forever because, as you can see, once I've got one on my needle, I'll take it all over. So that's the outline of her hat. And I don't think this one is on my WIP Go board this year, so I may not get to it until next year. Then we have Magic of Christmas by Nadia Strokina, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This one is, I think, now my largest full coverage project, because I'm not cutting anything off. There's like Christmas tree, winter scene, it's all good. I'm up here in the icicles right now to give you a clue of what you're seeing. This one, because it's so big, it is definitely 40 count half cross. This is a French lace linen, which I think is the same as the Grand Library Romance. So this is a 1/1 half cross on 40 count French lace linen. And there's the start of the icicles. And I think this sharp edge is like the edge of a chimney or something outside, which is cool. Fun times. All right, let's get back to my place. Then we have The Nativity by Donna Gelsinger, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. Again, there's a mini of this, but the Nativity, the regular size, fit nicely on a some packaged even weave that I had in my closet. And again, I was like, well, if it fits on that, I'm going to use it. And so it's great. So I like the regular size. It's very pretty. I don't know, maybe I'll do it up here. I don't know when I've worked on it last, so there may or may not be progress, but this is 2/1 half stitches on 28 count white even weave. So I have the first page done of the palm tree, which looks amazing, and then you can see the start of the first wise man, and I was working across the top picking symbols at one point, so that'll be fun to get out again. I think this one is on my WIP Go board, but it just hasn't come up yet, maybe, because I do want to keep making progress on this one. It's a nice one. They're all nice ones. I have Norwegian Ship Under Sail by Golden Kite. This is a small version, But again, like the grapes one, they're small, seemed plenty big, or had enough detail to satisfy me. This one is on 24 count, the same 24 count linen, 25, what is it? 25 count linen that the flower garden is on. Not the flower garden, the love letter. The love letter and Norwegian ship I started around the same time. And I was stitching in columns, parking in columns when I first started this, and then I decided to go across. And then at one point I was doing a challenge that had me hop, skip, and jump all the way to the other side. And then you can see a little bit of the rigging of the ship starting there. So this is fun. I don't think this is on one of my WIP Go board either. A lot of the older ones, like my Golden Kite ones, particularly that are charted from old artwork, didn't make it because they're not quite as colorful. And I feel like when I made my board, I was thinking I just want all the ones with color were calling my name. So some of these other ones that are a little darker didn't make the cut. But I do want to work on them all again soon. So stay tuned. Speaking of colorful ones, Quick Stitch Patchwork Quilt Room by Andy Ciro Marchetti, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is a crop of a larger piece, and I'm cropping it even more. So I bought the crop, and then I'm cropping it down to just be the scene at the table with the cat, the teapot, and the sewing supplies, the quilt on the chair. I didn't need all of that. So it's a long and skinny version. This one I am rolling it from the bottom still, but here is my little start. 40 count Verdal, 1/1, half cross. Picking symbols in the top 10 by 10 squares. But a lot of these, like symbols in here, ended up in this bush and things, so I have gone all over the place with those colors. This is a little one. It's very cute because it's on 40 count, and it's probably going to be like 4 inches tall. It's going to be a cute one. I may actually finish it. What do you know? If I ever get my own craft room someday when I'm old and my kids are gone, this could be on the wall in my craft room. Then we have Mini Princess of the Sea by Heaven and Earth Designs, and artwork by Donna Gelsinger. And I have a larger one that I printed out. This is toner save mode, so it is brighter in person. And I don't think I've worked on this yet, but I think it is on my WIP Go board. Maybe I have. Maybe I have worked on that actually. So this is 28 count Dove Gray Monaco, 2/1 half stitches. I may have worked some more in the sky. It's the whole width of the design. It's very fun to work on. Lots of pretty colors. And I did some of her already too. She looks great. But then I figured I need to fill in that sky before I do more of her. So that's what I'm doing. I'm happy with that one. Then we have Princess de Broglie by Golden Kite. This was my first Golden Kite. I've always loved this painting because her dress is just like, love it. I love that blue, it just pops. I started it originally on an 18 count, doing all of it, and then they discontinued it. And then Pattern Keeper came out, and I was stuck with this one with the paper copy, and they re-released it. And I think they re-released it before Pattern Keeper came out. Anyways, by the time I wanted to get a Pattern Keeper version, they had re-released it. It was slightly different. So all the symbols were different. The charting, I think, was maybe from a brighter copy, slightly. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to restart this. So I restarted it. I'm cropping off page here and most of a page here. So I don't have as much background to worry about, and it's smaller now. So it's now on, which one is this? 28 count mushroom even weave. Is this mushroom really? So I think this might be a MCG Textiles. It feels kind of thick, this is where it is now. I don't know if I've worked on this since I had my last WIP parade, but I had her whole face done before in the 18 count version. So part of, whenever I work on this, I like to kind of work on the background, work across, filling in some green, and then work on face, because her face looks like bad, really creepy and yellow, and like, is this ever gonna work? But yes, after working on the 18 count version, her face looks amazing once it's done. So I want to keep plugging away at face colors as well as background colors as I go, because I want her to look pretty again. So that's that one. Then we have the Rainbow Princess, which I think is another new start since my last WIP parade. This is by Stitch Witch Cat on Etsy. And we started this together, actually, the designer and I. We've kind of gotten to know each other on Flosstube over the years. I started up here in the corner, and so I did a lot of this bunch of greenery. She started right in the middle. So if you go find her on Instagram, she's got like at least one page done, and I think more now, of the folds of the dress. So it looks pretty cool. I decided, this is the other one I decided to do on 25 count 1/1. I had this pretty khaki green even weave, and I thought, you know what, that'll be pretty. I'll do that on that. So this is 1/1 full cross on 25 count khaki even weave, and this is like a 2-day start, and I'm happy with it. It's very pretty. The charting was nice. It was it made sense. It wasn't unnecessarily confetti heavy for that little section of greenery, but you know, enough that there's interest there. So I liked it. Overall, that was a fun start. Now we have Spring Montage. Just kidding. Not yet. There's one that's not in my book that I started but haven't put the page in my book. Still over here. It's a new, kind of a spontaneous new start. This is Ranunculus by Cooler Design Studios. And this is a small one, so I do want to get this done sooner rather than later. This year I don't really have any extra spots for it, but I maybe want to plug it in more consistently next year. This is on 24 count soft mocha Congress cloth. So this is again that canvas that's rather stiff and a little bit see-through. But I'm doing a 2/1 half stitch, and it's very blocky and simple, but it's very effective. So this is the whole thing. I think the halfway point is here, so it's not too big. And this was a 2-day rotation on my start on that one. So that's a fun one. I really enjoyed that. This was all Laura of I Stitch Birds, her fault. She showed it to me. She's like, you need to stitch this. I said, well, maybe I do. So I went ahead and got it and stitched it. And I'm enjoying it. So now we have Spring Montage by Janet Stever, art charted by Pain Free Crafts, up here in the Cherry Blossom branch. Here is where I'm at with this one. I would have worked on this for a couple months of Sundays here in the beginning of the year. So this one is 28 count mushroom Lugana. It's a little finer weave than the mushroom even weave that I had. One of the more recent ones. I forget what that was now. Oh, my Princess de Broglie. Yeah, because I think that one feels kind of like a MCG Textiles. So maybe they had a mushroom color too. Then we have a new start, Stained Glass Birds 1 by Tilton Crafts. I like calling it Stained Glass Cardinal. And I took off a little bit of the black on each side, because here it touches, so I thought it should touch here too. And then I don't have to stitch as much black. So I didn't get a whole lot done. It's all just black right now. This is a 2-day start on this one. Quite a few stitches in there, but this is 40 count 1/1 half cross on natural linen. I thought that would be a nice color to not have the black show through, and so far I'm very happy with it. because on white, it's not too bad on white, but there's a good amount of black in this. So I thought, you know what? Let's do it on darker fabric, and I think it works. Now we have Stitcher's Retreat, which used to be a freebie on Heaven and Earth Designs website. Artwork by Delphin and Joel Ross. Again, this was a restart at one point. I had started in the top left corner like I do, and it's just super, super dark. So eventually I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be in the background forever. It's actually also quite a large design normally. So I cropped off a full 2 pages here, 2 pages here, a page here, and a page here, or maybe 2 on this side. So I'm just doing a horizontal crop of the ladies stitching. So it's much better. I don't have a ton done on it, but it is more likely to get progress than just spending forever in the background, because that's not as motivating either when you're just in the background forever. And at one point I decided to do some extreme cross country with this one. So I have a corner start. You can see the frogging from where I restarted it. This is the page that I had worked on when it was up the very top of the pattern. I just frogged it out, and I'm using the same fabric. But there's the 2 ladies and some colors in them just for fun. And I did this yellow from the lamp to kind of make sure that they're spaced accurately across. I think I was going to do extreme cross country over the whole thing, and it just proved to be a little bit more than I wanted to handle with that dark brown for forever. Like, you know what? Let's add some color. Let's not do that. Now we have a stitching shelf. Max Colors, artwork by Amy Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is one that Max Colors really made a big difference to me, and I have all the DMC already. It does make it a very thick area. I have only a little bit completely stitched over here in these pink flowers, which I've heard is the worst confetti of the entire design. And it is quite thick. But overall, I'm happy with it. This is before I was doing like 40 count, so it's large. But that's also okay. I'm gonna have to back up because I have bits all over it. I did some of different shelves and different scenes for different challenges over the years, so there's a lot of area to cover. So here is this one. I don't think I have even worked on it since, so there probably isn't even a need for a before, but if I have a before, I will put it before, because they need to be full screen. Yeah, hopefully, I can't even see what I'm showing you. Hopefully I showed you everything. But I have the most done in this corner, several rows there. And then I have little bits in a lot of the other scenes. See the dog there. I think this is like gonna be a frog, that green patch right there. I have this snowman started. Different challenges called for different things, and so, yep, that's that one. That's my most impressive looking one, because I have the most done all over the place. But I used the books and the shelves to kind of count 2 things, so everything is connected, so I'm pretty sure it's accurate. Now Smokey wants to get out, but she's gonna have to wait. I'm almost done. All right. Next we have Summer Montage by Janet Stieber, charted by Pain Free Crafts, up here in the rows. And if you watch my update videos, I've recently been working on this, and I think I have one more day on it than you've seen in my update video. But this is 28 count Mushroom Lugana, 1/1 full cross. So it's going a little slower than some of my half cross projects, but it is very pretty, very delicate. I'm happy with that. Then we have Sunny Birds, Max Colors, Artwork by Oleg Gavrilov and charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is a big one. I think this one might be bigger than Magic of Christmas. I'm gonna have to check. One of those is my largest. I'll have to see. This one will get 2 days here in September, but I have yet to work on it. It's still August, so that's naturally. This is 40 count linen in cream, I think. Yeah, 1/1 half cross. So I don't know if I worked on this at the end of the year last year, but it will get 2 more days here coming up. That's a fun one. I'm looking forward to all the pretty things in that one. And even the blues up at the top are pretty, so nothing to complain about there. Then we have Three Sisters by Golden Kite. This one reminds me of me and my sisters. There's me, my older sister has red hair, my younger sister has dark brown hair. My hair was blonde. It's a lot, it's more like light brown now, but it was blonde when we were little. So this is us. And this is an 18 count. I'll probably back up for this one too. It's on 18 count and because it's got half stitches, not half stitches, blends. And I did a good amount of this one. Extreme cross country in the first girl. Plus some parking in the corner. I think one of the first ones I tried parking on. So I don't know if I've done anything on this since you saw it last. But yeah, I have some of the background filled in. And this is Emile Vernon, just like Me Elegant Woman with a Bouquet and Flower Garden. It's the same artwork artist. But this is a Golden Kite one. She's so pretty. So sometimes when I pull this out, I'll work some in the background and some in the girl just to get progress on both. But this spans several pages of face. So I work on that. All together, because you get one color on your needle and you just like to take it wherever it goes in her whole head. Then we have Visit Endor, which is probably my next upcoming finish in my full coverage category. This is my my last family piece for my kids. All 3 of my kids' ones are the full coverage ones here. Probably a good amount since last year. This is 28 count, Dove Gray Monaco, 2/1, full cross. And I'm probably going to be playing with these letters a little bit the next time I pull this out, because in person, the contrast of these grays is not enough for me. So I think I might be changing the gray on the letters a little bit. So, but this is close. It's like 90%, 91% finished. Hopefully the next couple months, I'll get that one done. This is by Country Magic Stitch. Did I even show you this? Country Magic Stitch. You can find her on Etsy. We have Waterfall in Yosemite by Golden Kite. This is their mini version. Again, I thought it was nice detail for what it was. This is also 18 count. Back when I was first starting full coverage, that was my favorite. Now I prefer the tiny, tiny stuff, but I finally got all the sky completed and haven't done much more on it since then. But it's 2/1 full cross on 18 count. There are some blends. And when I come back to it, I'll probably do symbol picking in the 10 by 10 grids across here. So we'll get a little bit of rock completion plus some, of this landscape and the waterfall all, as I move across to bring the whole piece down. This one can be a little bit monochromatic for me because it's just like lots of blues or lots of grays or lots of browns. Not browns, blacks and grays, blues. So it's not quite as stimulating to the imagination. Just a minute, Smokey. 2 more, or maybe 1 more. 2 more. This is Winter Montage by Janet Stever. Charted by Pain Free Crafts. I'm up here in the holly leaves and berries. I think I already did my rotation on this year, so you should have some progress. This is white, 28 count even weave, 1/1 full cross, maybe up here. Because I got a little bit more done on that one. It's very fun. And last, but certainly not least, is The Young Gardener by Art of Stitching. This was one I was gifted when I won a drawing from them. And it reminds me of me and my daughter. We're not particularly gardener people, but it's a mommy and a daughter, and I thought it was sweet. So this one I'm doing 40 count Verdal 1/1 half cross, and it's tiny. Stitch count, it's not as small, but it's physically very small. And it's the whole width of the design. You can see that the mom's head appearing a lot of confetti. So I think this one might be on my WIP board later this year, so I might be able to get that out again. This is one that could maybe get finished because it's not super big, but just have to work on it, right? So I'm gonna let Smokey out. I'm gonna reset and do my full coverage no background, which are things charted by a full coverage company, but either me or the design or the company has taken the background out, and I'm doing it on a fun fabric instead. So that's my next category. There's only 8 of those, so I think I can get that done today, and then I'll do the rest of my projects later. Stay tuned. All right, we're back with full coverage, no background. Smokey really wanted to get out, but in the process of putting all my things away and coming back in here, she's like, no, now I want to be with you again. Classic cat. She was crying on the other side of the door when I started to film this one. So can't win. We'll see if she stays. There's only 8 of these, so she shouldn't get bored this time. The first one in this category is Butterfly. I call it Butterfly Cat. And it's a Max Colors by Heaven and Earth Designs, and I believe they charted this with no background. I'm doing it on Picture This Plus Nessie, 28 count, 1/1 half full cross. So there, I think I might have worked on this since last time. It's really hard to see what I did, but there's my progress. And I have gray, light gray stitches all the way down to here, it looks like, which is hard to see now, but when it's part of the cat, I think it'll be okay. But it was very pretty. It's a little tealier than you see, and a little more green, greeny blue. It's very pretty, but I thought it went well with the stems, she's on the flower she's holding. So this is by Kayami Harai. That's the name of the artist. Very cute. I like this one. Not a whole lot started, but that's a pretty one. Then we have Butterfly Rose Cross by Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Bridget Ashwood. This is a mini, and I am taking the background out myself. And I am working it on a piece of, I think this is it, hand-dyed linen or even weave, 28 count even weave in some aqua, hand-dyed aqua linen or even weave. I keep saying linen, sorry. 1/1 full cross. It's from the, oh, what company is this? Hand Dyeing Duo on Instagram. I'm not sure if they're selling anymore, but they had a few pieces up at one point, and I snagged this up and I thought it'd be perfect for this piece. So I have this butterfly is not quite done, but the sticks at the top are finished. I'm doing this symbol picking from the top down, so those sticks are done, which look really cool. So I'm liking this one. It's pretty fast. So this one is one that is on the short list to focus on. Try to actually finish in my lifetime. Then we have Cherry Kitten, which is in my plans for September. This is another Artisy. They took the background out. Artwork by again, Kayomi Harai, same artist who did the butterfly cat. So cute. And I'm doing this on Cosmos Pull Stitches fabric. 1/1 full cross. May not have any progress since last time, but I will after this month. So I'll do 2 days on this month. 1/1 full cross. She's such a cute little kitty. I am picking symbols from the top down, so that's a fun one. I'm looking forward to seeing what progress I can do on that one. It's sometimes slow progress on things like this because there's so much confetti in the fur, but it's fun nonetheless. Then I worked on this recently, Crazy Wonderful Owl Family, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Anya Kai. They took the background out of my copy, and I'm stitching it on Picture This Plus Glacier, 28 count. I'm doing it 1/1, and I did this somewhat recently. I think this in August here. I worked some more on Papa Owl, so that's where I'm at right now. I am picking symbols from the top row, so once I work my way across this second row of 10 by 10s, the Mama Owl's head will be included in that row, so that'll be fun to be able to work on both of them coming down. And it'll be a while then before I'll get to any of the other owls, but this represents my family, my husband and me and our 3 kids. It's perfect. Our favorite colors, the sizes of the owls, it's perfect. So when I get some more space in my family rotations, I'll bring this one out, because this one is just a fun one to represent all of us, whereas the ones I'm working on now for my family pieces are specific gifts for specific individuals. So once I've cleared out finished some things, I'll bring this one out for 2 days every month to make some better progress on it. But this is me. Favorite color is pink. My husband, favorite color is blue. My oldest son, favorite color is green. My next son, favorite color, yellow, orange. My youngest is a girl whose favorite color is purple. It couldn't be more perfect. So next is Cupcake Dreams by Tilton Crafts. This was a freebie on their website. I don't know if it's up anymore, but I am working this one on like a light mint Jubilee fabric. And this is actually on my short list this year to try to finish. I don't know if I'll get to it, because some of the other things on that list are taking longer than I would have wanted, but hopefully I'll get to it at least some this year and can make some progress on it, maybe even finish it. So if it doesn't get finished this year, this will be on my short list to finish next year. So at the end of the year, I'll reevaluate some of those slots. If there's things that were on my list this year that didn't get done, they can just move over and focus on them this coming year. Then I have Harmony, which also was a freebie on Heaven and Earth Designs. It might still be there, I'm not sure. Artwork by Ching Chao Kyuk. And I'm doing mine I'm taking the background out, which is pretty. It's like this watercolory background. But I figured it would be easy enough to like crop it out in Pattern Keeper. And I had this really bright fabric by Color and Cotton called Holiday Mint. That's a 28 count, and I tend to put my fairies on 32 count. So I thought, you know what? Let's put this, it's a little bit mottled. Could be tropical background. Let's put this parrot on here. So I don't know if I've done any since last time, but that's my start on the parrot. 28 count Holiday Mint by Color and Cotton, 1/1 full cross. These ones, for the most part, are full cross because there's no background, so I figured they kind of needed the full cross to make the edges look right. But one of these is on 40 count, or these last two actually, and they're half crosses. But since they're so small, it doesn't really matter. The pixels kind of blend in to each other no matter what, because they're so tiny. This is my last family piece for my husband. This is something I found on eBay years ago. It's not there anymore. And I've recharted it into my software so I could use Pattern Keeper. This is a little over 50% done now. 40 count Verdal 1/1 half cross. Probably see a significant change since last year because I am pulling this out 2 days a month. And my days on this one are sometimes less than my other family pieces because I'm still keeping it a secret from my husband. Some of the kids know because they see me working on it. They'll come over and be like, oh, I'm like, shh, don't say anything. So, but my husband doesn't know yet. And then my last one is Tea and Books by Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Bridget Ashwood. This is one that I'm going to try to restart tomorrow, actually. It's still in here. I haven't frogged any of it. I've just been too busy working on this video, frankly, and other things. This is on Days Gone By, 40 count Verdal by Silk Weaver, 1/1 half cross. So my hope is I'm going to restart this with the Pain-Free Crafts version, which is where Bridget Ashwood's artwork is now. And I'm planning to keep my steam and just restitch the butterfly in the top of the cup. Try to frog those parts out so they will match up the rest of the stitching. And the steam is steam. I think I'll just try to leave the steam and just pick out these other elements and restitch those to match the new pattern. So that will hopefully be a restart tomorrow. I might end up spending a good amount of the day frogging, but it's possible maybe I'll just do the cup and start restitching the cup and then work on the butterfly later. It might be a process. But next year you will see, I hopefully can salvage this fabric because I really like it. So hopefully it won't be too hard to frog these tiny 1/1 half stitch stitches. So that's my plan for tomorrow. So this is the last time you'll see it like this because that will be a restart. And that's all for today. I think I'll pack this up and go, get ready for lunch. I have 2 more sections coming up that will be my other category that don't really fit anything else or just pictures and whatnot. And then samplers. So those 2 categories are, more medium sized, and I will do those 2 hopefully tomorrow, and then I can edit on Saturday. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. I have other things to do, so it might have to wait until next week. So with that, I will come back when I can and finish this up. Hi, I'm back. It's now Friday, August 30th, 2024. This category is my category called, I just put other because it's all sorts of random things. They don't really fit any particular category, and so it's rather than have a bunch of tiny little meaningless categories, I just clumped them all together and it's my other category. Some of them are kind of on the fence of being a sampler, but when I've put them with my other samplers, it feels wrong. So I'm like, okay, they're going in my other category. So there's 16 of these, and they are alphabetical as well. So my first one is Antique Shoe Collection. This is an old Busilicate, and it's put out by the Cooler Design Studio. So I think it might actually be on their website now. I don't know if I want to go look to try to get a digital copy or if I just want to keep using the paper one. For years, I have been telling people this is my oldest WIP, but I've noticed a couple years ago, this is a copyright of 2000, which means that's the earliest I could have had it. And I have another project in this category that I'm pretty sure I started the very end of 99. So this one might not be my oldest one, but it's close. If I started this when it was copyrighted, it's 24 years old, and that's probably not too far off. This one, the other one in the beginning is the one that I'm thinking of that might be even older than this one, but they were started very, very close together. That one I have a distinct memory of when I started it. This one, not so much, but since the copyright kind of gives it away, it's like it can't be older than that. So this is where I'm at with this one. I don't think I've worked on it since my last WIP parade, but I could be wrong. This is on the kit Ada 14 count, like antique white or something. And it is very colorful. It's fun to stitch. It is a little bigger than would be conducive for a travel piece. So when I kind of wanted to do travel stitching, it was a little awkward. But the top row is pretty much all done. I finally even got most of the border done up here, although there is back stitching around the outside of the border as well. So this one might see a comeback this coming year to get it some forward progress, but I might actually focus on in the beginning sooner, because that one's a little smaller. Could actually be a better travel project to get that one finished first. My next one in this category is Azure Ornament. This is one I started this year, and it's not really cross stitch. There's no X's in here at all, so that's why it's in the other category. It's not really counted canvas either, although I am stitching it on Congress cloth. It can be stitched on fabric, but it's all these like Jessica stitch type things, spiral-y stuff. It looks like a spiral graph from that, you know, old thing. And I got this on Smarty Owl on Etsy. And if I were stitching this on a high count fabric, it would be a lot smaller. But since I chose to go with counted canvas, this is a 24 count light blue, not counted canvas, Congress cloth, 24 count Congress cloth. I realized once I got into it that I'm gonna need to like double the stitch count essentially, because the pattern calls for your lines to go down in the middle of a block. So if you had like an even weave, in Ada you would pierce the square, and even weave you would go in the center of the 9-hole section where you would have your X. Since this is Congress cloth, you can't pierce the threads. They're very stiff. So I'm like, well, I'll just make it real big. So this I am stitching with some Silks for You that I was given. And I'm doing 2 strands because it is so large. It's not overly big. It's still, you know, size of my hand, but it's bigger than I think than it was intended. So it went really fast. This was like a 2 or 3 day rotation, and it went really fast. So I have another piece in here, actually my very next piece, that was on my short list to finish this year, that was kind of like a, well, it's not really close, but I'll put it on the list just to have an even 12 on this list to focus on. This one is a lot closer than that one. So I think I might actually, if I have room for another finish this year, I might pull this one out to try to finish this one and bump that to my list for next year. But I might actually also stitch this a second time at some point on a smaller fabric with a 1 strand, because I think that'd be really fun. And I might even try it something similar to this where it's a dark fabric and light threads. But I really like the color combination I chose here, and it's really fun. So yeah, anyways, that's that one. The stitches are so long that it covers the fabric pretty quickly. If I were doing it on fabric, I'd probably need to use a hoop because I don't want to pull with my tension. Right now I stitch in hand, so using Congress cloth, I don't have to use a hoop or anything because the Congress cloth holds itself up pretty well. I still have to be a little careful on the really long ones, but most of that is good. So this is the other one that was on my short list, the very end of my short list to maybe finish this year, but I don't think I'll get to it. This is Blackwork Flower and Butterflies by Leslie Tier. I got this on her website. I think she has a website. And the butterflies are cross-stitched, but everything else is blackwork with just a couple cross stitches here and there for color pops. And this one is really pretty. And it does come together pretty quickly. This is on a light blue even weave. I got, I think, a Hobby Lobby. This might be the Artiste even weave 28 count. So I don't think I worked on it since my last WIP parade, but see, this is the beginning. You do all the cross stitches in like an area, and then you come back over it with the back stitching. And the back stitching in the middle is usually 1 strand, and then this is like a 3 strand to make the thick border of the petals. So, and then there's some petite treasure braid in here too, which is fun. These colors, I'm doing some Victorian Motto sampler shop threads just for fun, and then regular 310 for the black. Then we have Castle Homecoming Club by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. If you're a regular viewer, you see this almost every week because I kind of chip away at it little bits every week. This was the mystery stitch along for 2024, but it started in like May or something and went to February of this year. But I'm going to try to finish it by the end of this year. This is definitely a focus for a finish. And I will probably bring it out today, actually, because Friday is the day I talk with my sister. So I'm trying to get these clips done early so I can make sure I have time to go visit with her. But this is where this one's at now. This is on 28 count light ice blue Lugana 1/1 full cross with a fancy floss conversion that's similar to what's called for. The top seam and the top border are completely finished. The middle chunk on the drawbridge is done, but now I'm working on the side bits and the bottom. So hopefully I can get this done this year. I have 2 spots on the bingo board that I'm going to play in September, so it'll get 2 days of regular full day stitching, not just my chit-chat stitching in September, and I'll probably need to do that a few more times throughout the year as well to make sure it gets done. Then we have Chaplin's Garden, which is another Janlin kit, artwork by Marty Bell, and this one, I love the colors. It's very confetti heavy, so being on a paper pattern is challenging. I was just looking to see. No, I don't think. It's not a cooler design, so it probably doesn't have a digital picture, a digital option now. But I have gone back through and started highlighting the pattern, which I didn't ever used to do, and that is helping. So now that I'm treating it more like a full coverage, which prior to Pattern Keeper I would highlight my full coverage patterns, even though I didn't highlight anything else. So now I'm treating it like a full coverage. I don't know that I've worked on it since last year, but this is where it's at. This is the Kit Ada light blue 14 count, all the kit flosses. When I started it in the middle and did the house, and then I came down here at one point. But since the last couple years, if I've worked on it, I've worked in the top to try to work from the top down, which is my current favorite way to stitch. So I'll need to get this back out again next year. I actually have a frame for this that my parents bought along with the kit for a present. It's like an open back frame, and it's kind of drug it along year to year. That's an old one too. It's probably my 4th oldest. This is a 1999 kit, but I don't think I started it in high school. But this is another one that's super old. It's back there. So I have a lot of them that are like 25 years old. This is Colors of the Seasons. Colors of the Seasons 2. The first one doesn't have the girls in it. It just has some seasonal motifs. This is by Serenita Di Campagna. It's a Italian company. I found it on 123 Stitch. This is one that is on my short list to finish this year, so we'll see if I am able to find time for it. This is where this is at now. It's 27 count Linda in Vintage Country Mocha, 2/2 full cross. Winter is finished except for the bottom, which I messed up my spacing between these motifs. So I've gone through a bunch of different ways of tackling this, but I think I will probably try to keep them all in the same fabric now. I will be moving this heart over and then adding this heart that I haven't done yet, and then leaving it and just keeping them all together. And then this is autumn. Autumn's done, doesn't need to be changed. Summer is started and spring is yet to be started. So, but if I get time on this, it goes really fast. I had a couple days on this in August, July, maybe July, I don't remember, recently. But it happened to be 2 days that I was very busy and didn't get hardly anything done on it. So hopefully I can have some time and just settle down. If I don't get it this year, it'll definitely be try to be finished next year. I do like that one. It's very pretty. Next we have Fairy Tale Town by Abris Art. This is only found as a kit, and it's a Russian kit. The kit comes with 14 count Aida. I am not using that. I am doing 28 count ice blue Lugana, and I'm starting, since it's so long and skinny, I'm doing it with a vertical roll instead of a horizontal roll, and I'm starting on the far right. To usually start on the left. So that's my starting point. I'm doing this 1/1 full cross on 28 count. There are some like 2-strand half stitches, 1-strand half stitches, etc. in the sky, which gets a little complicated. There are some back stitching. So I'm going to be using some Gutermann silk thread from Joann's, which is thinner than DMC, for the back stitching, and I think with the half stitches in the sky, I'll just use a 1-strand. I don't know, because a normal 2/2, which is what would be called for, I'm doing 1/1, so everything has to be kind of shifted a little bit, but I'm willing to do it to make it smaller. So it's kind of a exercise in creativity. This is my next one, Fantasy Triptych by Teresa Wensler. This is one that I adopted from my sister-in-law. She stitched a good chunk of the castle and a little bit of this trees down here. I did a lot of the trees, started in on the lady, some of the border. She did maybe a little bit of border, but I haven't been very good about keeping up with this one. She doesn't necessarily need it back, but if I ever do finish it, I'll probably give it to her. But it's kind of fun working on something that we've both worked on. I don't think I've done any more on it. This is 25 count, like antique white even weave. And I think I did some in the castle tops last time I worked on it to like get those more pointy, did some back stitching. I have done some specialty stitches at some point, did more in here. This is a mass of confetti. Definitely need to highlight this chart too. I've done a little bit of her, so this is another one I should probably get back to, but I don't think it's on any major plans this year. It didn't make the cut. So I'm not sure if there's any before progress or not. If I don't remember working on something, it's possible I worked on it the last quarter of last year, but I don't remember. Then we have Finery of Nature, which I recently worked on, so you may have remembered this recently. This is a Dimensions Gold kit. And I started this a couple years ago along with E-Crafting in Colorado. She was starting things on black fabric, started this one. And I'm like, I have that one. I'll start it with you. So I did this a little bit recently, and this is where I've gotten to. I'm working on the quadrant with the bird's nest right now, and got this whole top part. So now I can work down the quadrant. I've decided not to do the border, so this will be the top of my design. So when I come back to it, there's some French knots and couching that I might try to do in these top motifs before working more intensely on the bird's nest. But this one actually goes really quick. This is 14 count black Aida, all the kit materials, and it's actually pretty fun to work on. Then we have Flower Teapot by Soda Stitch. I work on this with my friend Desiree whenever we chat every 2 or 3 weeks. This is where I've gotten to. I think I probably started this since my last WIP parade. So this is 32 count Tiki Oasis linen by Oak Crown Studios. And I've got those top corners finished. There's no back stitching in those. And then the top like third of the pop is all the way done, including back stitching. So that's fun. That's really pretty colors, and that's fun to bring out every little bit and make progress on. Then we have Gracious Era, another Dimensions Gold kit. And this one is not full coverage. It's close. but there is some fabric show through, so it doesn't count. This is fun to work on too, and I don't mind the different types of like 3 or 4 strand half stitches and different things. This is 16 count, like a Dev Gray Ada maybe. So this is where I've gotten to. I might have worked on this since I filmed last on my last WIP parade. I started in the middle and worked my way up and then over so I can do my typewriter method of choosing symbols. So far it's going well. A lot of this building is half stitch because it's in the background and the sky. So it goes pretty quick because of that. But that's really fun. I like that one. And of course, eventually I can't wait to get to the ladies with the fancy dresses, because you know that's why I got this pattern. And then we have Honeybee, and this one has been neglected, sadly, because I just don't have time for it. But it is on my short list to finish this year, and I would love to finish a Mill Hill Buttons and Beads every year. I have a little frame on my dresser over there that I want to swap out every month, ideally. So I need more than 2. I think I only have 2 finished. I need more than 2 finished if I'm going to swap them out every month. So this one is the one I'm working on right now. If I get a chance to get to it, I would love to finish this year, but we'll see. This is where this is at. I believe the bee is completely finished except for backstitching in the wings, because I need to stitch around the wings to finish that backstitching. So I did all that I could, and then I came up and I'm starting to like just work my way down the background, doing beads as I go, using the called for perforated paper and beads and floss and everything just as called for. This, I believe, is calls for 2/1 on this 14 count perforated paper. Some Mill Hill kits I have heard, I think the little ones may be more likely to be like this, where they call for 3 strands over 1, but the Buttons and Beads kits I've had so far call for 2 strands, so I'm sticking with that. It lets you do a loop start very easily, and coverage is fine even on the black, so why mess with a good thing? So if yours calls for 3, feel free to do 2. You're not going to ruin it. Then I have In the Beginning, which is actually a kit that my roommate's aunt had and let me borrow it. So I ended up getting my own materials and everything, but I can't remember what the original kit was. If it was Dimensions or Busilla or Janlin or just what it was. But this is In the Beginning, and it's very old. You can't really find it anymore now anyways. Maybe on eBay or something, but I found some 18 count Ada at the craft store that's very close to the size of the design. So my margins are very tiny. But since I stitch in hand, it doesn't really matter. This one is likely my oldest WIP. I'm not 100% sure, but it's likely. So this one might actually be a travel piece this coming year to try to get this finished, because it's 18 count Ada, 2/1 for all the cross stitches. There's some back stitching. There is some half stitches, which are usually 2 or 1 strands. So I've been doing an animal at a time, completely finishing it and backstitching it before I move on to the next animal. So these guys are all done, which is fun. So I'm working over in this corner right now, and then I can come and do some letters and things and move my way down. So this is fun. I am actually looking forward to pulling this out more next year. Likely what I'll end up doing for travel stitching next year is finishing up Cats and Hearts, because I'll have at least 2 probably that I'll need to catch up on. But then once that series is finished, I think this will be my travel stitching until it's done. So that'll be fun. Then we have Those Who Sing, which is my current focus for a finish. This is by The Drawn Thread. Started this for Colette, the Highway Stitcher's birthday several years ago. She finished it in the year that she was supposed to. She starts a new thing for her birthday, intending to finish it before the next birthday, then start something new. I started it with her and then didn't finish it in a year. But I'm very close. I actually worked on this 2 more days this week. So since my update video, I do have more progress. And I finally have gotten over the hurdle of feeling like it's never gonna end. I finally feel like I can see the end. The end is in sight. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on it in September because I think I could finish it in 2 more stitchy sessions. So I have it on my bingo game board for September twice, and I think I can finish it in those 2 days. So here's this one, 32 count mushroom slushy by Fabric Flare, 2/2 full cross. Some of the called for cottons and some subbed in from things I had that were similar. They have a dinky, what is it, dinky dyes option, or like general art. And so I used some general arts that I think the red one is the same, and maybe some of the yellows, I don't know. Most of them are different though, just similar. So I have done a good amount. The tree was kind of never ending, but it kept being fun, punctuated with the different birds. And then I finally finished the house white, and I'm filling in the red. I finished the tree trunk. So those are some things. The white and the tree trunk is what I did, and this red right here this week. So now that that's done, it feels so much more doable. So in September, I'll finish out the windows. There's a crow here, and then there's a bench. Totally doable. So I'm excited to finally get that one done, and then I can move on to try to finish some other things. I like having a short list to just reference throughout the year of things that I can remember that are close to being finished. And this WIP parade does help me identify what those are. And then I can, throughout the year, I can go to that and be like, okay, I'm ready to kind of focus on something else. What else is possible? Because I have a lot of things that are not possible to finish anytime soon. So it's nice to know what's possible, what's somewhat close. I also have a spreadsheet I update every end of the year that shows me there's like stitches remaining in anything that's in Pattern Keeper. That's also very helpful to know what's actually close, because sometimes a percentage or a size of project doesn't really give you a clear understanding of how many just how many stitches are left. Because that, if you sort by that, it's like, oh, there's not as much left in that one as I thought. And so it kind of gives you an idea of where to go and what to pick and what to focus on. So I like that. Next we have Time for Myself by Soda Stitch, and I hear my cat crying on the other side. She might be joining me for my next category here. This is a fun one. I am enjoying working on this also with Colette, the Highway Stitcher. Whenever we pull this out, we try to work on it at the same time. This is on 32 count Whisper linen by Zweigart. Not vintage Whisper, just regular Whisper. And it's 2/2 full cross. And there is the back stitching. Her face area is all the way done, and I think this bit to here is all the way done too. So next time I work on it, I can bring the border down, I can work more on her hair, things like that. That'll be fun. It's a very pretty one. Just a minute, Smokey. So I like that one. That's fun. And then last but not least in this category is my New Year, New Start from this year, Tulip House. This is by Vitalia Moschik. You can find it at Cross Stitch Patterns with only one T actually in the Etsy name on Etsy. She has another one, or he, yeah, it might be a she or he, they have another one that's got other kinds of flowers and like a castle. There's a 2 or 3 of these that are similar in style. This one was the most colorful that I just kept getting drawn to. So I started this one for my New Year, New Start. I do have it in Pattern Keeper, except for the back stitching, because Pattern Keeper doesn't do that. So I have to reference the PDF printout for the back stitching. But being in Pattern Keeper makes it real nice. So here is where I got to. Try to, maybe this will show. I have some half stitches in the sky. You can see those a little better now. Super fun. I'm starting this picking symbols from the top down for the most part. I don't remember if this was on purpose, just because I wanted to get some. Oh, you know what? Maybe I started in the middle, worked my way up, and then now I'm going to do top down. Maybe that's what I did. So there's half stitches in the sky. This tulip is completely finished and backstitched. I love it. 2/2 full cross on 32 count ice blue Lugana, and I love it. So much fun. I really want to do more on this one next year. I feel really sad that I haven't been able to pull it out some more, but I just have so many other plans of things I want to work on. So such is life with having too many pretty things. All right, I will reset and pet Smokey and come back with my last category, which is samplers. See you in a minute. All right, I am back now with my last section, the section for samplers. And these are actually, I kind of feel like a few more of these have been started recently than in other categories, but I'm starting all sorts of things. So Smokey joined me now. She's in here with me. So let's see if she does anything interesting. She loves to be in here with me. So first one in this category is Cross Stitch Fun by Kesslins. This is my only monochromatic piece. And I tend to not really be drawn to a lot of the monochromatic designs you'll find out there, but this one just seemed so much fun. With lots of little, like, there's a sailboat and a rooster, a cat, like all sorts of fun things in here. So I thought, you know what? I'll go for it. So this is, I'm doing the Coastal Seaweed by Victorian Motto, and it is on 28 count Star Sapphire Jobelin, 1/1 full cross. So the fabric is solid, but the stitching is slightly variegated, and it is gorgeous. It's very soothing to work on. The thread is not so highly variegated that I have to care about where, like, which part of the thread I start with and end with and how I finish work on a motif. I could just go, but it looks really nice all together. So that's fun. I like to pull that out here and there. And I'm happy that I got that top border done, and now I can do little bits of the border and different motifs as I work my way down. So that's a happy point to be at. I have another Teresa Wensler here. This is English Garden Sampler. And I don't care for this scene. It's just too full of confetti for me to want to tackle that. And so, especially after Fantasy Triptych, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good. So I'm gonna shift all this up. I'm keeping the border, but I'll take out chunks of the border, and then I like the alphabet and the peacock and gate and stuff, so I'll do all of this only. So far, I haven't worked on this all that much. Probably haven't worked on it since I saw you last at my WIP parade last year, but eventually I'll work on this some more. So this is 28 count Ivory Jobelin, 2/2 full cross. There's blends and fractionals and Krynic and all the things. I don't think, actually, I don't have any, there's no metallic in here, at least right now, but I think eventually there will be. So this is all done, this medallion. That's pretty. But yeah, slow start, and I haven't worked on it much, but it's pretty, and I do like it. So I'll make sure I'll pull that out again this coming year, at least for a little bit. Then we have Floral Alphabet by JBW Designs. This was a new start this year as well. I'm doing it with 3 different colors instead of 1. So, because I thought, you know, there's letters, there's flowers. Let's zhuzh it up a little bit. This one is on 28 count Demoiselle Lugana. 2/2 actually. Maybe because they were silks, I thought maybe 1/1 on a hand-dyed linen or hand-dyed even weave might be too tight. But I am enjoying it. I'm having to pick what I think is a flower, what I think is a leaf, what I think is a letter. And I've got ABC completed. And I think that's like close to the middle. So there won't be a whole lot. It's not a huge piece. So maybe if I don't ignore this, this could be finished sooner rather than later. That's a fun one. That was pretty. Started that with Carolyn Zook over at Zook Stitch, I think for her birthday this past year. Then we have Heirloom Nativity Sampler by the Victoria Sampler. And this is one that is on my short list to finish this year, and I should be able to do it. All I have left is this Hardanger bit at the bottom. So So I just need to tackle it at some point when I'm feeling brave, firing on all cylinders mentally, because I have never done hardinger before, and I need all my faculties about me to get started on that. So we'll see when that happens. This is on 32 count silver linen by MCG Textiles. And it is completely finished all the way down, beads, krynic, and everything, until the very end where the hardinger goes. So I'm excited to get working on that and try to get that finished this year. Super fun. I have to figure out how to finish it. If I want to like sew it into a bell pull or find a really long frame, I don't know. But that'll be fun to display every year at Christmas time. I have another Victoria sampler here called the Heirloom Stitching Sampler. This one's even more long and skinny than the other one. But this is a fun one that I thought represented my heritage of craftiness. My mom and both my grandmas, lots of my aunts, very crafty people. This one I chose, instead of the tan that it was charted for, I had a long and skinny piece of purple gifted to me, and I thought, you know what? Let's put that on purple. So I altered the threads a little bit I'm pulling all of this from Stash ideally, and it's altered slightly a little bit from even the general idea of what was called for in order to match my fabric a little bit better. So super happy with this so far though. I did do some of it the last month or two, and I'm really happy with that. I think I did finish the outer 1/1 and did this lace border. Yeah, so that's fun. Slowly but surely, I'll keep plugging away on that one. This is a mystery purple. I have no idea what color, name, or company or anything. Then we have The Meadow by Carolyn Manning. This is a brand new start. I just started in August. And I'm considering it a sampler because it's a whole bunch of little motifs of flowers. Got this on her website. It is not full coverage. You can see the show through, and all the corners are not symmetrical. So I liked that it can be a little bit more stimulating than a completely symmetrical design. I have this on 25 count Moss Lugana, 1/1 full cross. This is the entire width of the design. It is so cute. It's so cute. And that was 2 days worth of work to get started on that, and it went pretty fast. So this one definitely could be, again, like Floral Alphabet. You know, if I spend time working on it, it could be done sooner rather than later. So we'll see if things like that actually happen. Then we have My Story by Jeanette Douglas. And this is a fun one because it's a whole bunch of different specialty stitches, which is very fun to do. It's not that big when I look at my stitch count. It's one of my smallest stitch count. So this might be on my short list to finish next year. And I have pulled a whole bunch of fancy floss from all sorts of people to try to do this one from Stash also. And I am stitching this on 32 count lamb's wool linen. I don't know if I've done anything since my last WIP parade, probably not, but it's very fun to work on, and I think it's going really well. So this is one column, so there's 2 more columns, so it's definitely not too big, not too tricky. Yeah, I'll definitely have to get this out again, put this on my short list for next year, because I think I could do it. And there's another one, a 4 Seasons sampler by Jeanette Douglas, that I've been waiting to start until this one is done. And I finally have collected all the silks for it. There were a few highly variegated silks that it's hard to find the exact equivalent in a fancy cotton because it's so highly variegated. If it's a tonal variegation, I can find a comparable substitute in just the hand-dyed collection that I have in Stash. But I went ahead and bought the Glorianas that were highly variegated. I have them all now, so I can start that. But I want to wait and finish My Story first. I don't know why. I just only want one going at a time. A little bit like the Rosetto counted canvas. I kind of just only want one going at a time, and there's not that many things like that where I have that limit on myself, but for some reason I do with that one. Then I have Quaker Tiles USA Extended Flag. This is by Vivsters. That's the official long title. I usually just call this my Quaker flag. But this is, she originally charted like a smaller flag, like this big. And then recently, earlier this year, she started making a whole bunch of international flags and made this one longer to fit the ratio of all the other ones she was making. And now there's also a different, like a reversed version as well. If you want to have, like, this is stitched, the little star motif is stitched, and then there's fabric show through around it. The reversed version stitches the reverse and the star motif is exposed fabric. So it's like flipped, because that matches the kind of, matches the look of the other international flags. But this one I liked the way it was charted, and I'm not doing any other flags, so I didn't need it to match anything else. So I am doing it as charted on this extended version. This is 40 count vintage country mocha in 1/2 full cross. And I'm using a couple, the dark blue and the dark red are some Victorian mottos. And then the dark outline is 939, I think that's called for. And B5200 is my white. It's brighter than what they called for. And yeah, so I am happy with this one. Technically, I started this for a leap day or leap year start. So ideally, that would mean I would finish it in 4 years. We shall see. I'm kind of considering working on this with my sister Call when Castle Homecoming is finished, and see if that can get me some significant progress. It's kind of long, so I don't know how unwieldy it will be. I usually sit right here in this chair, and there's no arms on the chair, so it might not work very well to stitch on that up here. So if that's the case, I might have to pick something else for my caul stitching and fit this in somewhere else. So we'll see. But I would love to finish that in 4 years. That would be fun, to just not have it lingering forever. Like so many other my pieces are. This is the next one. It's Sampler Fleur by Jardin Privé. I believe that means like flower sampler, essentially. And they have I think you could do it monochromatically. You could do it, there's a cat version. I actually liked this version better than the cat version, surprisingly enough. But I started this one this year, and I am doing it 40 count Morganite linen, 1/2 full cross with some silks, because I am using the same linen for a different sampler, which I'll show next actually, with Arifloss cottons, and the coverage is okay, but I've heard silk is better. So I went ahead and got some silks. The coverage is slightly better, and I thought that'd be fun. This one didn't have all that many colors, so it was a nice one to try to kit up. I think there's like 2 shades of each color, and they're very pretty. I think they're Soie d'Alger that I did a conversion for. I think it calls for DMC. So I just kind of did, I think I brought my fabric in, and I brought the DMCs to the LNS and picked colors that I thought went well with my fabric and kind of matched the general intention of the pattern, and it worked great. I like it. Then we have my Shine Bright sampler by Bonnie and Camille in their Quilt Bee book. This is the quilt. This is the cross stitch that they call Shine On cross stitch. And then Fat Quarter Shop came up with the Shine Bright colorway. This is like a toner save mode printout, but it's just a little brighter. But it's a different, it's not so primary. There's no yellow or orange. I thought, when I saw that colorway, I'm like, ooh, I like that. It's very soothing. So this is the one I got this 40 count Morganite linen for, this pink linen. And then I had an extra half of it, so I went ahead and did that sampler of floor on the other half of this fabric. So this is where I've gotten to on this one with the called for RE Floss, the Fat Quarter Shop offers. And then I am behind. This is technically a stitch along that's supposed to do a chunk every month. And it's supposed to be, the last chunk is supposed to be in October. So I should be like down here somewhere. Oh. So I got behind this summer. But I do want to keep chipping away at this. And ideally this is on my short list to finish this year. Even if I don't finish it in October, I want to finish it by the end of the calendar year. So we'll see if I can handle that. 1/2 full cross. Okay, the next one is Tapestry by Ink Circles. It's my only Ink Circles piece. And I really like this one is perfectly symmetrical everywhere, but I like the colors. They're just very rich and medieval and soothing. And I ended up doing a fancy floss conversion with the Victorian Motto sampler pack that she made for the Eliza Bell Cox sampler way back when. And I think there's 1 or 2 substitutions that looked a little bit better for this pattern, but I had the whole pack just because they looked so pretty. I'm like, you know what? I could use a lot of those colors for this Ink Circles piece. So this is how far I got to. I don't know that I've worked on this since my last WIP parade, but I think I was going to work up and do this quadrant and do maybe quadrant by quadrant rather than straight across, but I don't even know. I don't know if I have this on any lists. This one could also be another travel piece because it's not too big. This is, did I say 28 count? It feels like ivory Jobelin, just like what I am doing my English garden sampler by Trace Winsler. I think it's the same fabric as that, but this is 1/1 full cross with those Victorian mottos. But because everything is here, I can actually even fit this in my bag because it's not very big. I think this would actually make a really nice travel piece. So my order of priority next year will probably be finish Cats and Hearts, finish in the beginning, and then I can pull out Tapestry. And I think that's what I'll plan to do for my travel stitching next year, to have things that are still small and easy to carry for travel stitching. So that's my plan for that one. Then I have To Everything a Season sampler by Needles and Hoops. This is a really old Bucilla kit. What is this one? 1997. So this is the oldest published pattern, but I don't know that I started this. I don't think I started this that early. I would have been middle high school. If that's the case, this is my oldest WIP. And then In the Beginning, and then Antique Shoe Collection. I don't remember though. I don't think I started it that early. It might have been into college. Honestly, it's been so long ago, I have no idea. So this is the other one that's in a contention for my oldest WIP. This one is actually now, Cooler's Design Studio. I bought the digital version of this from Cooler Design Studio, and it's in Pattern Keeper now. There are a couple specialty stitches. So like these are specialty stitches. This heart is a specialty stitch, but everything else is, this is like a 4-sided stitch right here, but everything else is solid cross stitches. And there's a lot of onesies and twosies in this border that was making it rather hard to work on, which is why I put it away for so long. So now that it's in Pattern Keeper, I think it'll be a lot easier to work on. So I do want to get this back out again at some point too. This came with some 28 count even weave in the kit. So I'm just using Kit Everything. Let's see, here we go. 2/2 full cross on this 28 count. It looks like antique white even weave. And so that top, the birds and the heart, and this motif, I believe, is finished. This verse is done. This to here is done. The top chunk of that is done. So this is one that is very pretty, but it, again, wouldn't make a good travel piece because it's really wide and a little unwieldy for taking in the car. But now that I have Pattern Keeper, I can, I think, move forward with more ease on this one. So look for this to come out a little bit more frequently too. because I do want to chip away at some of these older ones. I like them still. I get distracted. And last, but definitely not least, is Twisted Band Sampler by Northern Expressions Needleworks. Hey, kitty. This is beautiful. I love it. I actually have this slotted to work on here in September, coming up for 2 days. And this is where this is at. This is on the called for 32 count bisque linen. The cross stitches are 2/2. Specialty stitches are 1 strand. And I am doing the DMC as called for in the pattern. They call for, they have 2, like I think it's, again, dinky dyes is an option, or DMC. So I'm working on the cross stitch band there. So this time here in September, I'm hoping to finish that cross stitching band and at least get started on the next band. So this is a pretty one, which I think will be, I want to focus on it a little bit more in the future too, because it's so nice. And I am going to be starting the Twisted Christmas Sampler by Northern Expressions Needleworks in December of this year. So probably shouldn't have 2 of these going all the time. I will for a little while, but should probably try to get this one done sooner rather than later. It probably, I don't think it'll go on my short list to finish next year, but I think I want to maybe push it forward so that I can maybe finish it the following year, something like that. Anyways, I think that's everything. All 102 active projects plus all the things I've finished. So it's a lot, but it's so much fun. And I really like, as daunting as it is to put these videos together, it's really fun to see them all and remember them all and fall in love with them all over again, and kind of get that remembrance of how far I am on everything, so that I can make plans going forward for what to focus on next. Because there is so many of them, I can't give them all the attention that I want to all the time. It's just not possible. But I can give them all a little bit of love here and there, and then certain ones I can kind of, you know, double down on a little bit more and try to get them done. So yeah, that's really fun. So thank you for joining me on this marathon. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you in my next update video, which may come out before I manage to get this all edited. We'll have to wait and see, but take care and happy stitching. Bye.